Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Autodesk Virtual Academy, brought to you by KETIV Technologies. I'm Nigel Mbayak, Customer Success Manager here at KETIV, and today I'm joined by resident George St. Pierre superfan, Jeff Perez. How's it going, Jeff?
Pretty good, Nigel. How you doing?
Good, good. So Jeff's one of the application engineers here on the team, besides being, good old UFC boy. But Jeff also knows a lot about Revit, which makes him a little unique among the rest of the team here. And so today, Jeff's going to go over a couple of things in Revit, specifically some model cleanup. And Jeff will explain what he means by this before he gets started here. But if anyone has any questions at any time, go ahead and post them into the chat panels in your respective browser or here within the Zoom webinar chat. So with that, Jeff, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Nigel. So as Nigel did say, I am an application engineer here at KETIV Technologies. A little bit about my focal points here are AutoCAD, AutoCAD Plant 3D, Inventor, and also Revit with MEP. So that's kind of why we're going into today's discussion, is cleaning up these Revit links and Revit files that you may be receiving from outside disciplines or maybe within your internal projects. So for the agenda, we are going to be covering cleaning up a Revit model, linking in these cleaned up Revit models into your live project environment, and then also maintaining your central model files as well within your server. So in terms of the Revit model cleanup, we're just going to quickly highlight some of these that we're going to go through. Is removing the coordination content that you're going to be receiving. So it's like links, section views, 3D views, floor plans, just unnecessary content that you really aren't going to utilize within your project. And then purging some of this content out of your Revit model. And then I'm going to talk about linking in these models too. So there's different specified model orientations. So origin to origin, center to center, and I'll discuss these once we get into the live demo portion of it. And then also I'm going to briefly talk about copy monitor too. So how you could extract some of the grid lines and levels that maybe the architectural model has that your model doesn't currently have. And then in terms of the central model file maintenance, we're going to talk about doing an audit of the central model, doing a purge unused content, synchronizing it with a compact central model as well. And then review the links that you may have linked into your model. So these coordination models as well. And then overall is reducing the file size too that may be stored within your local server. And all this is just to benefit you and avoid maybe possible corrupted projects. So we're going to dive right into Revit. So let me open up Revit. So within Revit, let me move this over here. I'm going to discuss about cleaning up a model, maybe a model that you received from your project. Maybe this is a FTP site model that you're getting, or even a box uploads. I'm going to talk about the process of downloading those. So I'm going to go into my models, and I have 3 different folders. I'll kind of cover these throughout this demo, but specifically I'm going to go into this downloads folder. So I'm going to have this download folder, and this is specifically an architectural Revit model. It's of an apartment building. So I'm going to open up this model, and before I open this up and begin the clean out process, because I do want to link this into my live project, I'm going to open it detached from central. And then from here, I'm going to click audit as well. And you're going to get this normal audit warning. It's going to tell you that you should run this periodically, and click OK for that, and then open. And then I'm also going to detach it and discard the work sets. Why I want to discard the work sets is because you never know what is coming with the model, and maybe some of these work sets could possibly be corrupted. I kind of want to avoid that, and I'm just going to just go straight into a detach and discard the work sets. So this is going to open up, and you kind of want to think of this as almost how you would clean up a AutoCAD XREF or something like that. You don't want to just link in these models right away. You kind of want to reduce these file sizes and remove unnecessary unwanted content that you really aren't going to utilize within your project. So I got this Revit model open. It's an apartment building. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to manage, and then I'm going to go to manage links. And the dialog popped up on the right side. So here we go. And depending on how you're receiving this model, this could be possibly a centralized model that maybe the architect or another discipline is sending you. That's why we detached it from Central, and you're going to want to go through and remove all the links from that model. So in this model, there is a plumbing model. I'm going to remove that. And then you're also going to remove any other additional unwanted links too. And then I'm going to go into CAD formats, and I'm going to double check to make sure there's no CAD formats in here too. I'll remove those if this project had it. But in this case, there is no CAD formats. So just keep in mind, if you do have CAD formats, I would remove those as well. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to my project browser. And currently right now it's set to views by discipline, but I want to make sure I'm seeing every view that's associated with this architectural model. So I'm going to switch this browser organization to view all, and then click apply and OK. And now the structure tree that I'm seeing in this project browser is changed now. Now I'm seeing all the structural plans, floor plans, ceiling plans. There's some 3D views, elevations, and sections within this. And then also, if I scroll down, there's several sheet views. I kind of want to determine how I'm planning on linking this and what information I'm going to need. So first, I want to leave at least one sheet within this before I remove this content out of here. And I'm going to expand this one sheet. So specifically, I'm just in level 3. It doesn't really matter what sheet you have. The reasoning why I want a sheet is because if you are receiving a model, maybe you need to match your title block from your architect or another discipline. You could easily pull one of these title blocks out from it. So I'm going to keep that sheet just so I could bring this title block and match it into my project. So I expanded this sheet level 3, and I noticed that it has level 2.2 copy in there. That's probably set up wrong. Let's go into level 2. We'll go into this one. And I've noticed that the floor plan that's actually in the sheet is floor plan level 2, copy 1. And I'm going to note that because I want to make sure I don't delete that from my this cleaned up project I'm going to do. So I'll leave this one in here, and I'm just going to hold shift and select my additional sheets and delete these out of here. And same thing with this first one up here. Now, other projects may have schedules, may have legends. That's something you're going to have to kind of be dependent and determine if you need that information from the architect. Most cases, you're probably safe with deleting some of the legends and schedules too, so I would clear those out as well. And then I'm going to go into structural plans. In terms of this project, I'm not going to need them. I'm going to delete all this information out of here. And remember, the end goal is just to try to minimize this file that we're going to link into our project. And then I'm going to expand this floor plans view, and I see that there's a lot of floor plans. Maybe it's multidiscipline. A lot of people are working on it. I'm going to try to just delete everything that I don't need. So I see a bunch of copies. I'm going to delete those first. And then I'll leave this level 2 because I noticed that level 2 is actually within the sheet. So we'll keep that one in there. And I'll delete those. So just kind of cleaning up all this information. So there's a site plan in here, a couple of sheet views. This should be okay right here. And then now I'm going to minimize this. And then the next one is ceiling plans. And then ceiling plans, depending on your company, if maybe you're mechanical, you probably are going to need these ceiling plans for RCPs. So depending on what you need, I'm just going to leave these right now if it is a mechanical discipline. So those should be okay. And then within 3D views, maybe a lot of different people have created 3D views. Really, I'm just going to want to leave one in here. So I'm just going to shift all these, hold shift and select all these and delete all those but one. I just want to leave one in there. Elevations, if I'm a plumbing firm or a mechanical firm, I probably won't need those really. So I'm just going to delete these elevation views too. And then same thing with some of these section views. I'm not going to need any of these section views. So I'll delete all that out. There's a rendering too. I'll take that out. I'm not going to need that. This is just a prompt saying I'm deleting that. It's okay. So I got rid of all these files, all these floor plans and ceiling plans and legends, section views. And now that I'm pretty much happy with the floor plans I left because I am going to need to reference these floor plans. You're going to need a link to these floor plans when you're creating your plan view. So I want to make sure that I'm covering every level So I got 1 through 7. That should be okay. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate and go into a 3D view. Now within this 3D view, there's a couple different things I want to do with this before I proceed and link this into my model. With the 3D view, I'm going to do a window and select everything in here. Just make sure I have capture everything. And within this selection, we get into this modify multi-selection tab right here. And now in here, I'm going to go into this filter and I'm going to check none. Now, what I want to do is ungroup these model groups that are in here. Model groups are possibly used for many different things. In this case, it's probably grouping some fixtures or some kind of object within this building. So I want to ungroup these. And think of model groups as almost like a block in AutoCAD. So click OK, and then we're going to ungroup those. So that's good. Now I'm going to do another window selection again and make sure that those got ungrouped. So now when I go back into my filter category, I should see that model groups is gone. So that's fine. Now I'm going to do a check none again, and you can do these all at one time too. So if you knew which ones you wanted to select, you could do them all at once and then ungroup them or delete them. Now in this case, I want to go into these generic models. I'm going to delete this because I know in this case there are some cars or something in here. I'm not going to delete those. So I'm just going to click delete on my keyboard and get rid of those generic models. Also, if this model did have reference lines as well, maybe they're using it for constraining particular objects in the building, you can do a window again and see if you have reference lines within this list. In my case, I don't, but I would delete those as well. So that's pretty much it so far. Now, after that, one final step is to purge all the unused content that you have in this building. So I'm going to go into purge and pop up over here. Now, the end goal with this purge is you're going to see a number of items checked. There's a 463 and then one additional imported category that you could purge out. The end goal is you want to get this number basically to 0. So you're going to keep running the purge until you get all this information out of your model. So I'm just going to go to check all and then OK. And I'm going to go back into purge again. And I'm just going to keep repeating this command until that number is 0. So it is 0. I'm going to do it one more time for good luck because I like doing it one additional time. And there we go. So we were able to remove all the information. I purged it all out. Now I'm good to go. Now what I want to do is save this. Now that it's ready to be linked into my model. So I'm going to go into File, Save As, a project. And I'm going to navigate to my cleaned up model folder that I have. And I already have one in there, so I'm just going to save over this. If you want to have like a revision history, you could give it different dates. But I'm just going to save over this one because I know this one's currently linked into my project. Now, before I do save it, I'm going to change my options over here and make sure that I have a maximum backup of 1 only. I don't need more than 1. This is just a backup of a cleaned up model. So just kind of depending on your server structure and how much space you have in there, you could put as many backups as you want. So I see 20 a lot of times too, but in this case, I'm just doing 1. Click OK, and I'll click Save. And I'm going to replace it and override it. And there we go. So now we have the cleaned up model. It's all good to go. Now I want to link this into my project. And now I'm going to replicate, basically, if I was maybe a plumbing discipline for this project, or it could even be mechanical, or the workflow is going to kind of be the same for any discipline. So let's close out of this area now. And now what I'm going to do is open up my central model that I have for my project. So you do see that in this cleaned up model, I do want to note that it did make a backup. You could choose to leave that. I come used to just deleting that. I don't really need it right now, so I'm deleting that backup out of here. And now I'm going to navigate to my central model file. And I have this apartment building for plumbing discipline right here. It's currently a central model, so I'm just going to click open. And then I'm going to override the existing copy. So I do have a managed links problem. So what it's warning me is telling me that that links changed. So I'm going to ignore this right now, and I'm going to show you how I go about fixing that. Now, there's two ways you could do it. You could either go to manage and then manage links here, or you could scroll down and you'll see a Revit links section right here where you could fix it. There's a red X right here. I could either right click it and reload it, but in this case, I'm going to delete it and show you the process of linking in it again. So I'm going to go into this manage links tab right here, and I'm just going to completely remove this link right now. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is click OK. I'm going to go into one of my 3D views I have in this model. And I'm going to go back into my manage links tab right here. And now what I'm going to do is add that new cleaned up architectural model I have of this apartment building. So I'm going to go to click add. And from here, just navigate to your models folder and where you place that cleaned up file. And then in terms of positioning, you have several different positionings. Usually this is determined by the architect or maybe a project basis, right? I'm going to use origin and origin in this case. I recommend you contacting who is mainly going to own the project and determine how this is going to be created. It is important that you choose the exact positioning that the architect does have, because you'll notice that maybe your model is going to be tweaked or it won't be in terms of the correct location. So that's something you need to find out up front. So in this case, I do know that this project set origin and origin. And I'll click open. Now it recognized and it loaded the building. So that's perfectly fine. And it set it to overlay. So I'm happy with that. And I'll click OK. And now that model did get populated. One other thing that I do want to do with this model is I'm going to go into my visibility graphic settings. So you can either type in VG or VV in this case. And then I'm going to navigate to that Revit links tab right here. And what I want to do is I just want to set this model to underlay. I don't want this to overpower my model content or be more visible than what my discipline's actually working on. So setting it to overlay is going to set it basically to a halftone. And I'm going to click apply and OK. So now I can see the building is set to a halftone, and I see some of my piping in here, mechanical for it. I'm going to just double check and set my view template really quick. I do have a view template for this, just so I can see my equipment in here. And then I'm going to set this to be fine, just so you can see the 3D content in here. Now, I am going to go to one of my sheets really quick, and I did want to show you, my title block is a little bit different. It's not matching what the architect did provide me. So I do want to match that title block. Right now, there's an Autodesk little logo right here. The other title block had a KETIV ABA logo that I put in there. So I'm going to open up that cleaned up model really quick, and I'll show you how you could bring in the title block that you want to use in your project. So let's open up this one, the cleanup one again. And now because I saved the sheet, I'm going to open up that sheet that I did save, I didn't delete out. And I'm going to double click into the sheet family. Now that I'm in it, see, I do have this KETIV ABA logo in here. I want to load this into my project. I want to match the architect. So I'm going to load into project. I'm going to select the project I want it to load into, which is my plumbing building project. And I'll click OK. And then I'm going to override it with existing. And just want to make sure it's editable. I'll click yes. So then it populated my new title block. So now I'm matching the architect. I'm happy with that. And now because I do have it open, I'm going to close that cleaned up model really quick. I don't need it anymore now that I stole the title block. And now all I'm going to have to do is just reload that link because I opened it within my model. So I'm just going to reload. And now all the information should get repopulated in here. So that's pretty much how I would go about cleaning up the model. It does get a little bit more congested depending on the intricacy of the model that you're receiving. So just be aware before you go and delete all that information. Just kind of, I like to take like a screenshot of your browser tree too, and then save that within my project working folder, just so I could always go back to it and make sure I'm matching what I have and what the architect provided me. So now this central model is good. It is matching, and I did get an updated link. So maybe you're going through different phasing of the project, maybe a DD phase or a CD phase. Maybe the project's not into a BIM 360 platform yet, where you're working in a live environment and it requires you to upload models constantly and downloading models. You do have to download them and then constantly clean them up and relink them. Make sure that you do have all the information in there. One other thing though that I want to do is I'm going to go back into my 3D view, and I want to make sure that I have the latest, say, levels or even grids that maybe the architectural model has. So I'm going to go back into my VG settings, or your visibility graphics settings, and then I'm going to go into this Revit links, and then I'm going to set by host. I'm going to set annotation or by link view. It's just a 3D view. That should be fine. And then annotation category. Let me see. Set this to by custom. Sorry about that. Click apply. Now I could go to my annotation categories and set this to custom too. And what I want to do is navigate to where levels are at and turn that on, so I can have them visible in this view. I'll click apply. Okay. Apply and okay. And now you'll see all your levels show up in here. So these are all the different levels within this building. And what we could do is go into a floor plan sheet really quick. And what I like to do for this is I like to make a section view. So I could delete the section view really quick just to show you. I'm just make a section view, make sure this section view captures my entire building. And then I'm going to go into that section view, make sure all these levels are turned on. And I'm going to double check back into my visibility graphics that the levels are turned on here. So same thing I did for the 3D view. I'm going to go into custom, apply, go into my annotation categories, custom, and then I'm going to navigate down to levels and turn those on again. Make sure they are on. So they are on. Click OK. And I'm just going to apply and OK and get out of this navigation screen. Now, in terms of here, when you are receiving models, maybe the architect's changing levels or even grid locations too, it is good to update these levels and grids. So I'm going to go into my Manage tab. Or actually, it's under Collaborate. Sorry about that. And I want to copy and make sure that I'm getting the latest levels and grids. So I'm going to go into this Copy Monitor tab. It's important that you're matching this information because it could be costly if you're not utilizing the same grids or the same information that the architect is providing you. So we're going to use this current project, or I'm actually going to go to select link. Now the select link, I'm just going to highlight around here and make sure that I am selecting the link I want to copy from, which is going to be the architectural. So let's just highlight, wait for this little dialog, and it is saying that it's the architectural model. That's good. And then what I'm going to do is go into the options and make sure that I am using 1/4 inch edge for the levels. Same thing if there is grids too, 1/4 inch bubbles. So I'm just confirming, making sure that this information is correct. Click OK. And now I'm going to go into copy. I'm just going to do one of these just to show you the process of it. I'm going to select one of these levels. So I'm just going to select this level 5.5. And then if you wanted to do all of them, you can just click multiple and then go down the list and select them all. And now after this, I'm going to go into monitor, make sure that's okay. Sorry, let me go back to copy. I already have these copied in here in my project. Let me delete this really quick. So I'm just deleting it right now. And then when you're done with that, you're just going to go into finish. And then you'll end up having the same exact levels that the architect has within their model. So I kind of just briefly touch on copy monitor. It does get a little bit more congested, I would say, if there's a lot of levels, if the building gets a lot bigger. This is a pretty basic apartment building. So now that's pretty much the portion for linking in that model into your central model. And now I did want to quickly touch on maintaining your centralized model files as well, and how I go about cleaning those up and making sure that you're reducing the file size that's stored on your server. So in this case, I could close out of this central model right now. And I'm not gonna save it. I could save and synchronize actually. It's okay. I'll just click OK through this. So I'm just synchronizing, updating the information on the server, and then I could close out of the project. So in terms of the central model, I'm going to go back into Open. And this is something that I recommend doing on a weekly basis for all your projects. These files tend to get bigger the more you start to work on them. So right now it's relatively small. It's only 13 megabytes. But these projects tend to get bigger with the more content you're adding, the more links that you're linking into. So specifically, I would probably do something, this cleanup process, this maintenance, either probably every Monday when you're working, or maybe towards the end of the week, just something that you are going to want to determine within your own company standard. So for this, I'm just going to click my plumbing model, and I'm going to detach from central, and I'm also going to audit, similar to how we did for the initial architectural model cleanup. And I'm going to click yes. Now I'm going to go to open, but this time I'm going to detach and preserve my work sets, because these are work sets I generated and I want them to be intact with my central model still. So I'm going to preserve them. Now that it did open up, you can go through. What I do recommend is going through and going into your Manage tab, Manage Links. Just make sure that all the links that you're pulling into your project are the latest, cleaned up ones that you received from each discipline that you're linking into. That's one way to prevent corruption within these files too, and also just erasing maybe family content or groups that you may have within the project too. Now, because I did open up this as a detached central model, I do want to save this over now. But before I do that, I'm just going to go into Purge, and I'm going to purge all unused content too. Just repurge this again. Just going to keep doing this. Now that all this information has been purged out, now I can save over my current central model file. So I'm going to go into File, Save As, Project. And now we're going to just select that central project that I currently have right now, which is this plumbing one. And then in the options, depending on how your server is structured, I like to do 20 backups for the central model file. But in this case, I'm just going to do one because I'm working locally. And then I'm going to click OK. Let me go back to that too. I did want to know, you want to make sure that making this central model is clicked on here. So it is on there, and I'll click OK. And then I'll click Save. Now it's going to tell me that it's going to lose the backups. In terms of storing backups, what I've seen in several companies do is, before they clean out the model, they make a copy of it and probably save it in like a backups folder with a date. You could do that. In this case, I'm not going to do that, and I'm just going to replace it. I should be okay with just replacing over my current central model, and I'll click yes. And now that's been saved through, I should be good to go. What I'm going to do is just do a synchronize with central really quick. Click OK. And then this should be the latest cleaned up model that's been reduced in file size. So if I go back into open, not sure how much file size. So I did get rid of about 8 megabytes worth of content in here. So now this file is getting smaller, and this is something that, like I did say, I would probably do every Monday before you start working. Just makes it a little bit easier to navigate through your project too. One thing that I did want to talk about too was there is, if you go back into your synchronize, there is a compact central model. If you do want to utilize Compact Central, I would probably recommend doing this like on a Friday. If you want to do this cleanout process on your server, do this Compact Central model probably every Friday, because it does tend to slow down the actual project you're working in. So if you do want to do this, I would do it on Friday so that when you work on it on Monday again, it runs as smooth as it should be. And that's pretty much it for me in terms of the Revit content. Think now what we're going to go into question answering.
Yeah, let's hop in to see if we got anything. If you have any questions, go ahead and type those in now. I'll have Jeff answer them for you. There's a question here from Eric. It looks like we frequently have to pull out Revit, RFA, Revit family files to get our parts for our assemblies. Any plans on Autodesk Inventor being able to open these RFA files directly and exporting the family member we need? I can't talk about specifics. They're working on it.
They are working on it. That's something that we've been hearing.
Yeah, that's one of the focuses by the development team for future releases is the Inventor and Revit interoperability, meaning the workflow between the two products. So keep your eye out and your ears open for more information about that workflow, as things are going to change here in the next couple of months, I think. So
yeah, we should see a better integration within Revit and Inventor. So that's something that is going on, like Nigel said.
Absolutely.
And I'm kind of excited to see how that turns out.
Yep.
We'll see what they do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have an event called Inventor Insider that we're going to be doing with the Autodesk team. And if you've heard of the Autodesk program called Inside the Factory or Inventor ITF or Inventor Gunslinger, it's one of those events that we're going to be hosting here at KETIV in mid-September here. So if you're interested in September, October, it's in events. Can you go to ketiv.com/events for us, Jeff?
Yes, I can.
Sign-up page is here. So if Inventor/Revit workflow is something you're interested in, scroll down. There it is. Yeah, mid-September. That's Inventor Insider. One of the days focuses completely on the Inventor and Revit interoperability, which is what they've been working on. I can't tell you specifics. I've seen it. Looks like some cool stuff. So if you're interested in that workflow, that event is in-house here at KETIV Brea in mid-September. So if you're interested in attending, definitely go ahead and sign up at that link, and someone will contact you shortly.
I actually forgot to include a slide for the next AVA. I don't know if you want to keep them informed with what's coming up.
Absolutely. You can. The easiest way to do that, and I get this question a lot. What is it, Jeff? Go to the website, ketiv.com/AVA, or you can go to on our website. You can navigate to it as well.
Let's just do it right here.
Unraveling the mystery of iLogic forms. And this is something that's been requested a lot, which will be our AVA for next week with our friend Cameron Wetton. Cameron's going to be going over forms in iLogic, and forms, I think, is like that end game in iLogic, right? You want to be able to automate your project, but how do you interface with the automation? And the form functionality within iLogic, and coincidentally, things like VBA and stuff, would be the way that you interface with your automation itself. So being able to select values for parameters, so on and so forth, is all controlled within forms most of the time, if you want it to be like a front-end interface. So we'll go over that next week with Cameron, and I'm really excited for that session. I'm going to learn a lot from it.
Yeah, me too. Do we have any other questions?
I think that's it for questions. I'll give everyone another 30 seconds or so to ask any. And let me check the other sources for questions. I think we're all sorted. So again, Jeff, thanks for joining us this morning for Autodesk Virtual Academy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
And let's get DC that rematch against Stipe.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this morning. We'll talk to you all next week, same time, same place.
Take care,
10
guys.
10 o'clock on Thursday. Adios.
All right, bye.